You're in a room you've never been in before, and yet, somewhere deep inside you, you know you've been here. You know what the window on the other side looks like before you even turn around. But you've never been here. You can't have been here before. And then it's gone. That feeling has a name: déjà vu, French for already seen. Almost everyone knows it. Studies suggest that around 2/3 of people have experienced it at least once, many of them regularly. And yet, we still don't fully understand what happens in the brain when it occurs. That's not an exaggeration. It's simply the truth. What we do know, déjà vu is not a memory phenomenon in the sense that you're actually remembering something. It's more of an illusion of familiarity, without a real memory behind it. Neuroscientists talk about two separate systems in the brain that normally work together. One signals familiarity, the other enables recollection. Sometimes, for reasons we don't entirely understand, the first system fires without the second one following. You recognize something, but you can't say where from. A research team led by psychologist Akira O'Connor placed participants in MRI scanners and attempted to induce déjà vu moments using word lists and a carefully designed technique meant to trigger the feeling of familiarity. What they found was surprising. The active regions weren't the memory areas you'd expect. They were areas associated with decision-making and conflict resolution, the frontal cortex. That suggests something strange. Déjà vu might be less of a malfunction and more of a quality control mechanism, a kind of built-in error check. Your brain notices that something doesn't add up, that the feeling of familiarity isn't backed by an actual memory, and it flags that contradiction. So you're not experiencing your memory failing, you're experiencing your memory catching its own mistake. That's a fairly different way to think about it. For a long time, déjà vu was primarily associated with epilepsy. And it's true, people with temporal lobe epilepsy often report intense, prolonged déjà vu episodes, sometimes as an aura just before a seizure. Direct electrical stimulation of certain brain regions, particularly around the hippocampus and amygdala, can artificially produce the feeling. That tells us where it originates, but it doesn't explain why it happens in perfectly healthy people, in everyday moments, for a few seconds and then vanishes without a trace. And this is where it gets interesting. Déjà vu isn't evenly distributed. Younger people report it more often than older people. People who travel frequently, people who are sleep-deprived, people who consume a lot of films and series. The research isn't yet advanced enough to say exactly why, but one hypothesis is that the more impressions you process, the more often this system might fall slightly out of sync. Not because something is broken, but simply because it has a lot to handle. There's also an older theory, less neuro, more cognitive, which suggests déjà vu occurs when we unconsciously perceive something that resembles an earlier experience, without being able to consciously make the connection. You walk into a room, and something, the light, the smell, the proportions, resembles a room from your childhood. Your brain shifts into familiarity mode, but the conscious memory never surfaces. Whether that's accurate is unclear. It's difficult to test, and that's one of the fundamental problems with déjà vu research. It happens spontaneously, lasts seconds, and can't be reliably reproduced in a lab. What remains is a phenomenon everyone knows and no one can fully explain. Maybe there's something quietly comforting in that. Not everything the brain produces has been completely mapped. Not every experience comes with an explanation attached. Déjà vu is so ordinary and so strange at the same time that even careful scientists still have to shrug their shoulders. And that brief feeling, those 2 or 3 seconds where time seems to fold back on itself, maybe it isn't a deception in any negative sense. It's your brain processing the world, searching for patterns, recognizing, sometimes pressing the trigger just a moment too soon. We live inside our memories almost without noticing. The past seeps constantly into the present in the form of expectations, reactions, familiarities. Déjà vu might be the moment when that process briefly becomes visible, where the curtain opens just a crack and then falls closed again.